All right. Well, welcome to Principles with Cory and Logan. We're excited about today's episode. What Logan and I thought we would do today is just kind of share with you some of our favorite proverbs, some of our favorite quotes. There is power in the words that we use and the words that we say. And we talk about proverbs. You think about the wisest person, and there are tons of things that we can learn from Proverbs and actually apply in our lives. So we're going to be digging into Proverbs. We're going to be just kind of riffing back and forth, and then some on some quotes that have really stood out to us. There's probably tons more that we could add in here, but to save you guys some time, we won't go through all of our favorite quotes, but here's just some of them that jumped out to us. And Logan, you want to kick us off in Proverbs, one of your favorite Proverbs?
Sure. As I was going through, there's so many that jump out, but some that are specifically applicable today, especially in times where it seems like there's a lot of divisiveness and disagreement, and in some cases some hostility. Some that jumped out were Proverbs 26:20. For lack of wood, the fire goes out, and where there is no whisperer, quarreling ceases. And I like that in tandem with Proverbs 26:12. Do you see a man who is wise in his own eyes? There's more hope for a fool than for him. And Proverbs 26:4. Answer not a fool according to his folly, lest you be like him yourself. Really like the first one, 26:20, where there's no whisper, quarreling ceases. And all those just really talk about if someone's being foolish, don't answer them, don't meet them where they are.
Yeah.
I think we could probably stay out of some unproductive conversations and probably be a little bit less divided if we would do a bit better job of deciding what we really need to dive into and answer, and what we could just let the fire go out on.
Yeah. I've been doing a 31-day challenge with Proverbs, every day reading a proverb a day. And throughout Proverbs, it talks about answering the fool, right? I mean, how it's not wise to bicker back and forth with the fool. Just let the fool be, right? But the wise person, you can correct the wise person. And I like, what version are you reading out of? English?
ESV.
Yeah, that's usually what I will read into. I also like to bounce it back and forth with different ones. And I want to read the one you said, Proverbs 26, was it 20?
Mm-hmm.
This is, yes. I want to read this out of the Passion Translation. It's just different versions there. And as you read different versions, it seems to help gain better understanding too. So this is Proverbs 26:20. It takes fuel to have a fire. A fire dies down when you run out of fuel, so quarrels disappear when the gossip ends. Man, that's good stuff, yeah. Right? I mean, you want the gossip to go away. And when you think about business too, I know many businesses, they'll talk about there's a zero gossip policy because gossip is like a cancer, it just breeds. So no gossip, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. You want to go into a quote here?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So let's go off of that one. So this is a Martin Luther King Jr. quote. And this is his quote. It says, "There is no deficit in human resources. The deficit is in human will." And I like that, Logan, because he says there is no deficit in human resources. See, if you've been given an idea, if you have a thought that God has given to you, right? If he has sourced you with an idea, then you have all the resources necessary to bring that forward, right? So there is no deficit in human resources. The deficit is in human will. And we have talked about will a good many times, that will, when most people think about will, they think about force. They think about willpower. I've got to force this. But will is actually our ability to stay focused on one thing and one thought, one idea, to the exclusion of other ideas until it's finally completed. And I love what he says right there. There's no deficit in human resources. The deficit is in our human will to stay focused to completion. We get so easily caught up and distracted, or anytime we try something new, it's not going to be perfect. So
Right.
most people throw their hands up at that. So if you had any other thoughts on that,
I really like it because it takes it gives you some control.
Yeah.
It takes away excuses, and it places some weight on personal responsibility, which I really like. We hear a lot of people talk about how they can't do something, or somebody else at work is smarter than me, or somebody at school is better looking than me, and they made the cheerleading team because of that. And it's whatever it may be. But there is no deficit of resources, and it's all about your ability to control the inputs, control the hard work, control your creativity, and use those resources to move the chess pieces to where you can win the game.
Yeah. Just checking in on our Facebook Live here. I don't know if it ever went live or not, but just checking in right here. Oh, well, that's all right. Yeah. And even before we jumped on here, you were talking about the book Extreme Ownership, and that's exactly what that book is about too. Yep. So what's our next proverb?
Proverbs 14:23. Let me pull it up here. Make sure I don't misquote it, but 14:23. In all hard work there is a profit, but mere words lead only to poverty. And that one was ingrained in my mind at a pretty early age when I did John Ginn basketball camps at Pontotoc High School. He had it printed up. Coach Ginn had it printed up on all the T-shirts, and that was in their locker room. And that was kind of their team motto for the years that he was there, was Proverbs 14:23. But as I think about it, when I get older, the profit is not always direct. Sometimes the profit is who you become as a person through a process of hard work. And there may be delayed gratification or delayed results. But oftentimes that profit isn't necessarily tangible, certainly isn't often tangible in the short term.
Yeah.
But there always is a profit.
Yeah.
And one thing you can take to the bank is talking doesn't get you anywhere. So I really like that. And I'm glad that there was somebody that put that in front of me at a young age. But I'm only now really starting to realize kind of what some of those profits can be.
Yeah. It's not always financial, right?
Right.
Yeah. That's awesome. You care if I read that in this version too, to kind of blend them there? Because that's a really good one. I missed this one before. So same proverb, just different version here. If you work hard at what you do, great abundance will come to you, but merely talking about getting rich while living to only pursue your pleasures, man, that brings you face to face with poverty. I like that. That's good stuff. That's good. Let's go to another quote right here. This is by George Washington Carver. And when I first read this, I was like, man, that is so good. Here's the quote. George Washington Carver, he says, "No individual has any right to come into the world and go out of it without leaving behind distinct and legitimate reasons for having passed through it." Man, Logan, when you hear that, what do you think? I kind of hit you out of nowhere.
Yeah. No, I mean, I like it. It's just a different take. I'm used to that ESV, just kind of simple.
Yeah.
It's not as eloquent, but just face to face with poverty.
Yeah.
Just really jumps out.
Yeah. That's good stuff. So no individual has any right to come into the world and go out of it without leaving behind distinct and legitimate reasons for having passed through it. Man, I think that's good stuff. What about another proverb there?
Another good one that I like is a prudent man conceals knowledge, but the heart of fools proclaims folly. Proverbs 12:23. And then a wise son hears his father's instruction, but a scoffer does not listen to rebuke. So that's Proverbs 13:1 and Proverbs 12:23. Proverbs 13:3. Whoever guards his mouth preserves his life, but he who opens wide his lips comes to ruin. Man, we've all probably opened our mouth really quick sometime and then paid the price for it.
Yeah.
And man, I wish I could put those words back in.
Yeah.
And just wise to state the importance of guarding the tongue. There's another 18:21.
Yeah.
The tongue has the power of life and death. And I think James talks about the power of bridling your tongue. So yeah, you could go on and on with the verses about controlling the tongue and folly and listening to rebuke. And we would do really well to take heed.
Yeah. Proverbs does a lot of contrast between the wise person and the fool. And a couple of things that you just mentioned, the difference there is that fool is very quick to spout off and share everything they know, and the wise kind of contemplates their words, and they're also open to correction. One of the things that I've said to some young people a couple of times before is, athletics are great. I love athletics and sports and stuff. But your education and just being wise, as soon as you open your mouth to talk, people are going to recognize, they're going to be able to tell your intelligence level, so guard that, right? And be very intentional with the words that you say.
It's like the old proverb that's not in Proverbs, but better to be thought a fool than to open your mouth and remove all doubt.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. Yeah. I'm going to read what you just read right there in this one right here too, so if that's all right. Those who possess wisdom don't feel the need to impress others with what they know, but the foolish ones make sure their ignorance is on display. That's good. Let's go to a quote right here. This is by one of my mentors, Paul Martinelli, and this is the quote he said: "You can defend your dream, or you can defend your limitation, but you can't do both." Most of the time, we like to make excuses. We'll have an idea or a goal or whatever, and we have this tendency to use our imagination to come up with reasons why we can't do something, or use our imagination to create all these elaborate plans of worst case scenarios, right? So we're defending our limitation in that case, or we can defend our goal, right? Defend our dream, as he says, but you can't do both at the same time. So any thoughts on that quote?
No, it makes me think of the Tony Robbins quote that we can experience fear and gratitude at the same time. And that's the kind of the way to drive out fear. And goes back to what we talked about with Allison before about taking captive our thoughts.
Yeah.
And Napoleon Hill in Think and Grow Rich spends a lot of time talking about the power of imagination. But your imagination is going to work one way or the other. So it's all about channeling it in a productive way. Yeah, I like that.
Paul Martinelli, who said that quote, he also talks about the law of polarity. So the law of polarity is the law of opposites, right? So if you got an inside, you have an outside. If there's hot, then there's cold. They're on the same pole. You have hot on one end, you have cold on the other end, and in between there's varying degrees of hotness and coldness, right? Like there cannot be a hot if there's a cold, right? There cannot be a hot if there's no such thing as cold. So the very fact that you're defending your limitation, if you just flip the script, there is a dream that is possible, right? When you say you can't do something, well, if you're using the law of polarity, then there is evidence and there is proof that you can do whatever it is you say you can't do. So that may be a little bit confusing. You may have to think through that just a little bit right there. But you think about, if I say I'm inside, if we say we are in this room, we know that we're in this room because we know there's this thing called outside, right? So anyway, next proverb there. I won't go much deeper.
Yeah, no,
we might could do like a 2-hour thing.
We
on
could
that
go
sometime.
deep into that. As I'm looking for the Proverbs in my notes, I keep seeing other good ones.
Yeah.
But one that my mom taught me very, very early, whenever it is, especially when I did something well, was Proverbs 16:18. Pride goes before destruction, and a haughty spirit before a fall. And I've always seen that very clearly, almost see that in slow motion in other people. I don't see it as well in myself, and I should do a better job of that. I try to run things through that filter, but you can almost see it when somebody's talking trash on the basketball court, or somebody makes a good catch on the football field, or whatever it is. That person gets dunked on next possession, or that quarterback throws an interception the next play, or fumbles. And it's just amazing how true that is. And it's something to really check yourself against. If you feel yourself getting prideful, to not set yourself up for a destruction.
Yeah, man, that's good. And there's another proverb, as you said that reminded me, there's two very similar proverbs, and they both start out the same way. It says, the silver for the crucible, gold for the furnace, but men are tested by their praise, And then there's another one that starts out the same way, and I forget what it says, but it's almost the opposite. But as you're talking there, men are tested by their praise. You've got recognition, all right? You're on the pedestal. Well, who are you giving the recognition to? Are you receiving it and pointing it to you and being haughty, let me say, or are you giving the recognition to who is actually deserving of it? So anyway, yeah. That's good. That's a good one. Let's see. Let's go to another quote right here. This one, I wrote this one down. It's from Inky Johnson. And I think the power of this quote comes from the person who said it, right? If you don't know Inky Johnson's story, you may want to check him out. But he was a high-profile collegiate athlete. I think it was a senior year, right?
Junior, I believe, because that's when you're eligible to move on. So it was his last season. Yeah,
and he was going to be maybe a high draft pick.
First round, I think, projected.
Yeah. So he got tackled and totally changed his life. Arm is flaccid, can't use it, but he looked at it from a different perspective, right? This quote is from him. So this is the power of that. So he says, there's someone in life with a situation and circumstance in life that's a lot worse than you. But they took the hand they've been dealt, and they're winning with it. They're winning with it. They've got a worse hand than you have, right? They've got a lot worse off than you are. They took the hand that they've been dealt, and they're actually winning with it. So, anyway, I just think that's a powerful quote based off of him saying
it. I'm a big Inky Johnson fan, and he talks a lot about perspective drives performance, and how you view what you do affects how you do what you do. And just the power of perspective. And it's just an incredible story. There's a great podcast that he's on, the Ed Milet Show, and he kind of tells his story from scratch. And it's just, he's a powerful speaker and communicator, just the power of taking the hand that you're dealt and playing it like it's the one that you wanted. He's really done that. And he's somebody that you can't talk back to him because he's walking the walk. Right. He was just so gifted, dealt a bad hand socioeconomically in life, overcame it, went to college, was dealt a great hand athletically. It was taken away. Now he's become a public speaker and had probably more impact than he would have if he was a mediocre NFL player that had a 6 or 8 year career and then went on to do something after that. But he's touching lives and really making an impact. And took that hand that he was dealt and he played it like he was excited about it.
Yeah.
So
did he say that? What you just said, take the hand you've been dealt and act like it's the one you wanted? Or did you make that up?
I did not make it up. I don't know
right.
if it was him or if it was somewhere else that I heard it, but
if you can't identify it, it's yours. So
that's not true. I definitely heard it. I don't remember where. It may have been him, but regardless of where it was, he's doing that.
Yeah.
And it's really exciting to see people that have been dealt a hand like that, and they're playing it like it's the one that they wanted. They're like, oh, okay, look at this challenge. Let's see what I can do with this. Let's see who I can bluff with this 2-7 unsuited. Everybody has their own set of challenges and things to overcome. There's always something more going on beneath the surface, and things are not always as they seem, but it's encouraging to see people that are out there and winning.
Yeah, man. That's awesome. That's good stuff.
Proverbs 10:32, the lips of the righteous know what is acceptable, but the mouth of the wicked what is perverse. And I think there's another translation that you may want to read on that one. If you want to go ahead with that.
So words that bring delight pour from the lips of the godly, but the words of the wicked are duplicitous. The words of the wicked are duplicitous. Something that stands out to me. One of my prayers lately has been, God give me, God talks about in Proverbs, ask for wisdom. And like you're standing at the door, come, right? I want to pour out wisdom onto you. But I've been praying is give me discernment of these two different people who have words that bring delight, and help me understand and give me discernment by the people who are speaking duplicitous words, right? And give me that understanding. Because not all people have pure motives. And one of my faults that I tell my wife all the time is I put a 10 on everybody's head. And it's very easy for me to fall for duplicitous words. I need that spirit of discernment.
Yeah.
Well,
that's interesting and timely. And I'm just looking down past Proverbs 10:32 into Proverbs 11:1 and Proverbs 11:3. A false balance is an abomination to the Lord, and the integrity of the upright guides them, but the crookedness of the treacherous destroys them. We're dealing with a lot of different things, especially in the professional world right now, where I was just talking with somebody today about someone that put in 25 years at a company and just like got furloughed at the drop of a hat. Like, man, that guy has been drinking the Kool-Aid and sold out for the company, and just kind of got thrown to the wolves when the going got hard, and that was just, to me, it just felt like a false balance. Like that's a guy you got to take care of. Yeah. But the integrity of the upright guides them. Just like we talk about quite often, the value of who you surround yourself with, and it's a great prayer to have that discernment.
What was it, 11:1 again?
11:1, a false balance is an abomination to the Lord, but a just weight is his delight.
Oh, that's good.
And it's important to put yourself around, especially if it's in if you're going to work for something. There's a lot of people that got laid off or furloughed and they're looking for jobs. When you're going back into the workforce, surround yourself with a boss or a supervisor or a hiring manager that is going to have a just weight and not a false balance. You see a lot of office politics and different things. And, you want to find someone where a just weight is in place, and it says that that's the Lord's delight, and someone that's got integrity that's guiding them.
Yeah. And then you be that man or woman that has the right. This is what it says in this version: to set high standards for someone else and then not live up to them yourself is something God truly hates. Yeah.
That one hurts.
Yeah, it does. Like, man, yeah. It's easy. It's so easy to have standards for other people. I think we've talked about it a little bit too, is that, we judge other people by their actions, but we judge ourselves by our intentions. Yep. I intended to do that, but we didn't get it done.
Right.
They didn't do it, and we're mad at them, right?
Yep.
So anyway, if you got high standards, set the high standard for yourself and then bring other people up, right? Don't set it for other people and set the standard for yourself. That's tough.
That's difficult. That's difficult.
That is tough. Let's go to a quote, and this is a quote by Eric Hoffer, and I shared this one. I think I shared this at the goal setting seminar, but I like it, and I think it's very applicable to the time that we're in right now. And this is Eric Hoffer. He says, in times of change, we're in a time of change.
Definitely so.
In times of change, the learners inherit the earth, while the learned are beautifully equipped to live in a world that no longer exists. And why I love that is change is constant, right? Change is constant. It's the only guarantee, I guess, that change is constant. And it says the learners inherit the earth, right? You got to be constantly learning. I tell the story about doing the homework with our third grader, and the math that they're learning now is the math that I remember learning in high school. And change isn't happening just in education, but change is happening everywhere. And if you're not staying ahead of that change, you're not just standing still, you're getting left behind. So that's the first part of it. And the second part, he says, the learned, the people who don't think they need to learn anything, the people who think they've already got it all figured out, well, they're beautifully equipped to live in a world that no longer exists. Yeah. What they thought they knew, it's gone, right? So anyway, I like that quote.
I really like that. And it makes me think of a story that I heard one time. It was a big debate that was set up for an evolutionist and a creationist. And the evolutionist also happened to be atheistic, and the creationist happened to be Christian. And the atheist gave an extremely eloquent, extremely intelligent, highly educated presentation of his and very compelling presentation of his stance. And the creationist got up in response and said, that was beautiful, it was intelligent, it was compelling, and so persuasive, and you're one of the most intelligent people that I've ever listened to or met. And he drew a graph on a flip chart, and it was a massive circle. And he said, of all the knowledge in the universe, you're one of the smartest people I know. How much of you learn something new every day, though. So how much of what you know would you chart out of this circle of all the knowledge in the universe? And he said, well, just like a tiny pinpoint, I mean, there's endless knowledge and things to learn. And he said, okay. And his point was that his position was one of pride and arrogance, that there wasn't something else out there that at least he could claim to be agnostic about things and not know everything. But I just think that goes along well with what you were saying. A nice illustration.
Yeah, that's good.
So there's, I mean, I keep seeing other ones that I want to share, but one that's always, or two, another one that comes to mind reading this one, Proverbs 10:12, hatred stirs up strife, but love covers all offenses. And that also reminds me of a soft word turns away anger, but a harsh word stirs up wrath. Yeah. So those are pretty straightforward, but as tensions are high in the country as a whole today, maybe in a marriage relationship where money is tight today or whatever it may be, hatred stirs up strife, love covers offenses, and a soft word turns away wrath. Those are just some
I think
quick,
we all
practical.
Hear that one today.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that was good. That's real good. Yeah, we could almost mic drop on that one.
Yeah,
Right there,
I love those. I got a couple more that jumped out to me today. One of my favorites and always has been, and something that I'm a big Packers fan. And growing up, two of my favorite players were Brett Favre, of course, but Reggie White. And one of the best defensive ends to ever play, and a devout Christian and very faithful. He passed away very early. I think he was about 42 or so.
He was pretty young.
But I heard him in a post-game interview one time, and I don't remember what the question was, but I remember his response was Proverbs 22:1. A good name is to be chosen rather than great riches, and favor is better than silver or gold. So, there's going to be a lot of opportunity in the world right now, but making sure that we're operating at a high level of integrity and maintaining a good name over great riches is, I think, something extremely timely right now.
Yeah, that's good stuff. I mean, a good name, a beautiful reputation is more to be desired than great riches, and to be esteemed by others is more honorable than to own immense investments. Man, I like that. And we started our men's mastermind group, and that's kind of at the heart of why we started that men's mastermind group is to develop men to be men and to be leaders and to be world famous, right? And when we talk about world famous, it's in the eyes of the people you come in contact with day in and day out, the people who know you best, not the people who think they know you, because it's a good name. The people that truly know you, they'll know if you've got a good name or not.
Well, it's something that super applicable to business as well.
Yeah.
Don't chase the short-term money or the short-term revenue or profitability or whatever it is. Chase the brand that comes with having a good name.
Yeah.
And you'll build a pipeline, and you'll be able to have much better results over the long term, and have a good name.
Yeah. I mean, in your landscape business, Cornerstone Landscape, that's the saying, right? Excellence in everything you do. It's about providing that top quality service, and having a good reputation goes a lot further.
And there are many, many times where we mess up.
Yeah.
And we actually had a scenario with a customer back in February where we really dropped the ball on some stuff, and we took a lot of pride in owning it and going above and beyond to at least get it to a place where we felt good putting our name on something, even though financially it hurt.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, our name is on it.
Yeah.
And it needed to be done in a manner where we were proud to have our names on it. And we actually got a referral from that customer within a week of the time that we finished. And so, but that was a difficult decision. In the short term, but it was the right decision.
I think it was difficult for you guys, but I think also what helped in that was knowing what your values were up front. It's still tough. But if you didn't know what your values were and what you wanted to stand for, and if this didn't matter to you, I think it would have been even more difficult, and you probably would have veered the other way too. So you're going to do 2 more Proverbs and 2 more quotes, and because I think we could go, I like this. I think I could talk all day. We could.
Yeah, we could go. I've actually got I just have one more that I wanted to bring. I thought it was a great one to end on, so I had it written down for last. For myself, Proverbs 22:11. He who loves purity of heart and whose speech is gracious will have the king as his friend. And it goes back to kind of the men's group topic was this week about purity of motive.
Yeah.
And he who loves purity of heart and whose speech is gracious will have the king as his friend. And so, again, there may be some delayed gratification. It may not happen today, but you will have the right people around you if your heart and your intentions are pure.
Man, I don't know if I could add anything to that, because that's mean, that's top notch right there. And you don't just get in front of a king, not just anybody gets in front of a king, or talking about mayors or governors or the president or whatever now. You have to have a certain reputation, and at that level you have to add some kind of value, and add value as well. So and that's good. I'm gonna share a proverb, and then we'll end with a proverb because we want to end with scripture.
Okay.
But my very favorite quote, I have tons of quotes in my phone, and under the heading on this one, I try to put it in headings too, like leadership, personal growth, limitation, all that stuff. I've got this one under the heading of favorite quote. This is my favorite quote. And if I can find it, but it's by Mother Teresa. And let's see, here we go. Best quote is how I have it. So, people are often unreasonable, irrational, and self-centered. Forgive them anyway. If you're kind, people may accuse you of selfish, ulterior motives. Be kind anyway. If you are successful, you will win some unfaithful friends and some genuine enemies. Succeed anyway. If you are honest and sincere, people may deceive you. Be honest and sincere anyway. What you spend years creating, others could destroy overnight. Create anyway. If you find serenity and happiness, some may be jealous. You be happy anyway. The good you do today will often be forgotten. Do good anyway. Give the best you have, and it will never be enough. Give your best anyway. In the final analysis, it was between you and God. It was never between you and them anyway. And I think it goes back to what you're saying there, the intentions. Where are your intentions at? So anyway, you want to add anything?
No, nothing to add.
I don't know what you're adding.
No, that one's a good one.
So last proverb that I wrote down right here. This is, and I read this one today, and that's why I just fresh on my mind and jumped out to me. And
we talked about this one this morning, I believe.
Yep, this is it. Proverbs 10:5. This is from the Passion Translation. It says, know the importance of the season you are in, and a wise son you'll be. But what a waste when the incompetent son sleeps through his day of opportunity. There are seasons of life. There's a time to sow. There's a time to plant. There's a time to reap. If you're sleeping during the harvest time, you've lost your opportunity. And I mean, we're all in different seasons of life. I feel like I'm in a season of growth right now. And one of the things we talk about is we have some I am statements. I am a seeker, a seer, and seizer of opportunities. So I'm still looking, right? And you're still looking.
Right.
We're not going to be asleep when that opportunity comes. But it's so important to know the season that you're in. If you think you're in a season of reaping, but in reality it's a season of growing and sowing, you're going to be frustrated, right? Mm-hmm. So the importance of knowing the season that you're in, and when the opportunity comes, you can't be asleep. Right?
No, that's right.
Anyway, any other thoughts or any other ones that come to mind right there?
Well, actually, I really like the verse that comes before that.
Let's hear it.
And I'll read it from the ESV. A slack hand causes poverty, but the hand of the diligent makes rich. He who gathers in summer is a prudent son, but he who sleeps in harvest is a son who brings shame.
Yeah.
And I like your translation a little bit better about sleeping through opportunity, but I like the context of a slack hand causes poverty, the hand of the diligent makes rich. So you've got to couple that diligence with knowing the season and seizing the opportunity.
Yeah. Man, that's good. Well, Logan, I've really enjoyed this one. I know as you and I kind of riffing, but I think we could go almost through the entire book of Proverbs for the wisdom. And I know you've got a list of quotes as well. So we probably could sit here for we could probably do a whole workshop on this.
Yeah.
I think we'll call it there tonight. You got any last things you want to say?
No, that's great. Let us know what your favorite proverbs are or favorite sayings. We'd love to talk about those and get those insights. And if you like this, then maybe we'll revisit it. It's a little tough to stay focused with these because as you're reading them, you keep seeing more. And there's always something fresh that's in there, no matter how many times you've read them. So, I've talked with the small group of high school guys at church that we were working with before coronavirus, that if you're ever getting in a rut, Proverbs is a great place to start, because regardless of what you believe, there's something practical there for you. There's something that you can take and you can apply, and you can get a little bit better and try to gain some momentum.
Yeah, that's good. Hey, like Logan was saying, share with us your favorite proverb or your favorite quote, and if you do, you share it in. We're going to post this on Facebook and pretty much all the social media sites, and on our podcast on iTunes. Share with us your favorite quote, and we'll give you a shout out on the next recording. And anyway, so thank you guys for taking a listen. We hope it added value to you. Y'all have a great night, and God bless.